Hey everybody, it's Bernie from Blanche Farms coming at you with another recipe for our series for the Blanche Farms meats and some of our products. Today we're going to use our pancetta, delicious product. It's a dry cured and aged belly of pork, of ossable hog. We're going to use that to make a delicious risotto with some arborio rice. The directions are on the back. And I'm going to actually take a 45-day aged filet, and I'm going to show you how I do that. I'm going to do a real hot, quick sear in cast iron with some pancetta, and we're going to put that on top of the risotto. And it's my wife's birthday coming up, so this is a good one to file away for all you guys who need a little special something for your women. So basically this is a pretty simple recipe in ingredients, but it takes a little time on the stove. Again, it's the pancetta. We're going to use a good bit of this. We're going to save a couple pieces for this filet. I got some arborio rice, which is what starts it all off, and this is a nice little pack here. It gives you the nice directions on the back. We're going to kind of start with those basic ideas, but we're adding some garlic to it. We're not really measuring anything here. I've got some 3 cups of chicken broth ready to go. I just used some paste and mix it up in the water. And I've got a big, huge clove of garlic, half an onion, and some fresh Italian parsley. And that's pretty much what we're going to use. So I'm going to get this going in the hot skillet with a little bit of olive oil. All right, so we've cut up our pancetta here and just in the chunks. We saved a little bit off for that filet. We're going to dice up. I've already sliced and gotten this ready to do the onion. I'm going to put some of that onion in there too. I'm not going to use all that onion. I'm going to use a good chunk of it there. We're going to throw that into our pot behind me. I've got a hot pot with maybe about 2 tablespoons of olive oil going. We're going to add the garlic, the half an onion or almost half an onion, and a good bit of pancetta. But there's what we've got going so far. Okay, so here's our hot pan. We're going to go ahead and add in our pancetta and our onions. I'm going to add that little bit of garlic in there. Keep those sauteing real good. Going to add our 1 cup of arborio rice. That's going to get us started. I got this on a little, just about medium low. So this is a slow process here, this risotto. So I'm going to cook this down real nice until I get finishing this up. We're going to taste this often to get it where we want it as consistency. It should be a little bit of a crunch to it, a little bit of a texture to it, not washed out but not too crunchy. And that's something that you just got to keep on tasting until you get it right. And we'll come back to this in just a second when we're ready to start adding some broth. All right, so we got this guy going pretty good. We've got it where the onions are getting like see-through and transparent, and the fat of that pancetta is cooking down a little bit. And I'm going to show you how we do this. We're just going to add a little bit of this broth in there. Directions say about 1 cup. You can follow those directions if you've never made this before. This gets to be I tend to realize that there's maybe a little bit more, a little less of the liquid as you get towards the end. And I always finish my risotto, whether right or wrong, with a little bit of milk just to kind of get it nice and creamy. But you'll see how it starts gobbling up all that water pretty quick. I've turned it a little over medium there to get it going. But you see how quickly all that water gets sucked up by that rice? So what I'm doing here is I'm just going to let it suck up that water and that broth. And there, it's about done sucking all that broth up, so I'm going to add a little bit more. And that's how you do it. You just keep adding a little bit more to it like that till it sucks it up, and keep stirring it. So again, like I said, this does take a little bit of time to do a really good risotto. It takes a good bit of attention, but it's really well worth it in the end. It's a creamy, delicious side, and it really will complement that filet real well with that pancetta in there. So this is how I'm going to do it. I'm going to let this cook down a little bit more. And then I'm going to keep adding a little bit more broth. And when I get a good bit of this broth, then I'm going to taste a little bit of it. And for the texture, I'm going to see if I got a little bit of crunch left still in that arborio rice. And then when I just have it where it's kind of soft on the outside and a little bit of al dente crunch in the middle, then I know it's ready. And so I'm gonna add just a little bit of milk in here, and you're gonna see how it gets nice and creamy. Now when I do that, I'll try to get this till it starts getting that cream, and then I'll pull that off and stop. And that's when I'm ready to serve it. Sometimes I'll hold off on that milk until just before I'm ready to serve it. See how it gets that nice creaminess to it? Really fills it out real nice. I'm gonna go ahead and shut that off and let that finish absorbing that little bit of milk and that creaminess to it. And that's really nice. I'm gonna add a little bit of that Italian parsley in there for color. I'm gonna add a little bit of Parmesan. It's already nice and salty from that broth that I added and from the pancetta. I'm gonna add a little bit of cracked pepper in there. And that baby is ready. Okay guys, we've got our delicious risotto finished back there with our pancetta in it. And now I'm gonna go ahead and finish off this aged filet. Now these are funny sometimes to cook with sometimes. People are a little bit weary. It's a little dark on the outsides. I mean, some people prefer that outside edge and that little crunch and crust to the filet. I do. My wife does not. I'm gonna go ahead and actually trim this off of here. But you can see this is a raw 45-day aged filet, and you can see how it is, how much denser it is, and all that concentration of flavor and the marbling in the fat. It really condenses into that meat. It's a very interesting, unique piece. It's very different than a standard filet. But I'm gonna go ahead and trim this off just the edges real lightly, just right off the edges a little bit, and try to get down into just a little bit more of that standard pink meat, which is how she prefers it. Doesn't like a lot of that crust. Now this crust, I'll throw that in maybe a stir fry or in my eggs in the morning or something like that. It is nice. You can chop it up and saute with some garlic and some onions. It's delicious. But there's the basics of it's a very tiny petite filet. I'm just going to smash that down a little bit, and I'm actually going to lay a little bit of pancetta. I'm going to kind of almost baste it in a pancetta. So I'm going to lay a piece over top of it. I'm going to lay a unraveled piece around the sides of it, and I'm going to put one more on the underside after I flip it onto the grill. I've got my cast iron nice and hot with a little bit of olive oil. I'm going to drop a little bit of butter in there. Let that guy melt down. I got it on about medium, and I'm going to go ahead and place that pancetta side down right in there and let that pancetta just kind of work there. So because the pancetta is already salt cured, I'm not going to add any more salt to this. I am going to hit it with some pepper, but that's about it. I'm just going to really sear it real hot and quick and kind of get that crunchy pancetta on the bacon. It's going to get the crunchy bacon, and I'm just going to roll it around. It's kind of crusted with that. So lay that right on top of that other piece. A little bit of pepper. While that's going, I'm going to kind of pull some of this nice brown butter that's coming out of the corners here, and just kind of roll it over top of that a little bit and let that baste it. When you have these aged fillets, a lot of that moisture is out of there, so you really want to cook them in fat as much as possible to really keep them as moist as you can. That's the only thing unusual. You cook them a lot shorter and faster than you would a regular fresh fillet, and you want to try to get it in some kind of a fat or based in some kind of a fat so it stays nice and juicy. So I'm going to just flip this baby over, keep basting it, and I'll show you what the plate looks like here in just a minute. So here we go. We've got our filet finished, and you can see I have just kind of seared that bacon, and I did not cook this very long. We eat ours rare, medium rare. I mean, we like them really, really red in the middle. So when we do them, we don't cook them very long, especially when they're aged. So basically, this hot butter that I'm pouring over there is pretty much finished in that. And I just got that nice crispy pancetta that I actually cooked it right on top of that. As soon as that bacon got crispy or that pancetta got crispy, I flipped it over. And by self-basting it, I'm just kind of getting those sides of that pancetta a little bit. But that is finished. So I'm going to go ahead and plate this up here for you. In just a second, you're going to see what it looks like. That pancetta risotto and the pancetta wrapped filet, aged filet. And I'll show you what it looks like in just a minute for my wife's birthday dinner. So here's our risotto that we just plated up here. A nice little scoop of that there in the middle. As you can see, and we're just going to put that filet right on top. and that's what we're gonna have. I'll probably do some snap peas and saute them in a little bit of butter and garlic and put on the side, or maybe a small salad with a little bit of balsamic vinegar and some olive oil, just something real simple for some color and some greens. But that's basically what you're looking like. I'll get you a little better shot of that. And for all you guys out there, this one it takes a little time, but it's really not that difficult. I did make a minor substitution there at the end. I put in some Parmesan cheese instead of some blue cheese. The flavor of that pancetta was coming through real nice, that delicious curing flavor in that risotto. I didn't want to spoil it with the heavy flavors of the blue cheese, so I used a little Parmesan just to give it a little bit of cheesy flavor to it. But that's it. Come by and see us at Blanche Farms Meats, and go and have fun. Play with your food.